Hey folks, in this video we'll start off with an overview of client configuration, followed by creating a DMP3 client map, a DMP3 client inputs and outputs, DMP3 client device properties, DMP3 client connections, runtime HMI communication summary, runtime HMI points details, data quality status, and lastly sending a control. With that out of the way, let's jump right into it. MCP can be customized to pull, receive, and store data from connected intelligent electronic devices, or IEDs. Client applications in the MCP allow the MCP to collect even and/or static data from devices through different communication protocols and store the data in the system point database. The MCP configuration tool supports the configuration of protocol-specific object references, scaling factors, and user-defined names for various objects configured for collection. Where applicable, you can also configure additional device-level settings for the same protocol at the same time. To configure the MCP to communicate with devices, perform the following typical tasks. Create an MCP client map for each device and protocol type. Define the data points list and set point properties. Set protocol-specific properties. Set up serial and network device connections. Configure protocol-specific settings for each device connection. Save the configuration file. Run the configuration file in the MCP by committing the changes. Each of these steps shall be explained in detail in the following slides. The MCP communicates with your devices connected to your power network. These devices monitor and record several types of information. The information can be generally classified in the following point groups, defined by default in the MCP. Present values, p-val, that reflect the current state of the power system in an instance in time. Peak demand that reflects the minimum and maximum power flow conditions encountered. Demand. Point groups can be modified on the System-Wide tab in the MCP Online Configuration tool. The devices store all the information in a map. Refer to the device manufacturer's manual for a list and description of all the data points available from a device. The client map file is based on a specific protocol. Each client map specifies what information or data to be gathered from a device. The MCP polls for and retrieves information from a device according to a client map file. The map file contains information on how polling is scheduled for a device based on the device's capabilities, frequency of polling, selected data points, etc. You can use these default client maps or customize them for your system requirements. Once you create a client map file, it becomes available to select on a configuration page when assigning device connections. To open a default map file, click Open and select the desired or click New to create a new map file. Settings are available on the Analog Input, Digital Input, Accumulator, Double Bit Digital Input tab, and Analog Output/Digital Output tab on the Client Map tab. Device properties, device level settings. The DMP3 client map settings are available on the Client Map tab when a DMP3 protocol device is selected. Edit the data type and device protocol settings as desired. Click Save and enter a name for your map file. The DMP3 client map defines how the MCP is configured to pull data from the DMP3 devices. The MCP supports the following configurable DMP3 data types. Analog inputs, measured for computed values by the device. Analog outputs, physical or computed analog quantities. Digital inputs, states of physical or logical Boolean devices. Double-bit digital inputs, double-bit states of physical or logical Boolean devices. Digital outputs, physical or logical on-off, raise, lower, and trip close points. Accumulators, counter values. Device level settings are available in the Device Properties pane on the Client Map tab. The table lists the poll-specific settings for the DMP3 device. Please note, additional DMP3 client configuration settings are available for device communications when configuring DMP3 serial/network connections on the Connections tab. The DMP3 client can be configured over serial or network communication. This is configured in the connections in the MCP on the Connection tab of the Configuration page. A map file must be available in the MCP before a protocol type can be added. The MCP includes several default maps. If you require a custom map, create it first before setting up the serial network connection. The DMP DCA serial supports all modem control signals, i.e. CTS/RTS, with associated delay parameters. DMP3 client settings are available under the Application Parameters field, and these settings will apply to all multi-drop devices in a connection. Here's a tip. If the configured number of DNP IEDs is more than 80, then it is recommended to use higher values for the settings. Response timeout, such as 5 seconds, 2. Max offline fail count, such as 3. Save and commit the changes for them to take effect. Note that for DNP IED block, it is recommended that the total number of IEDs configured in one IED block be limited to 10 IEDs. If more than 10 IEDs are configured in a single multi-drop connection, data connection performance degrades. The connection summary page lists most recent communications. Device communication statistics and other device-specific information are supplied as pseudo-point values in the real-time database. To view pseudo-points, click the display button on the IED communication summary page. The IED detailed statistics window opens. The pseudo-points vary according to type of device and protocol configured. Statistics between the MCP and configured device. The I/O traffic viewer lists real-time communication messages between the MCP and a selected device or master station. The display automatically scrolls and refreshes as new messages are exchanged. To view I/O, click the View button on the IED master station communications summary page or the Monitor button on the point summary page or Detail Statistics window. The I/O traffic viewer window opens. Each message includes the following information: direction of message flow, incoming or outgoing, date and time of message, message content in ASCII or hex text as configured, message type. On the screen, you can show hide info messages, pause resume the display of messages, clear all messages from the buffer, change the buffer size. When I/O communication messages exceed the buffer size, the oldest message is removed to make room for the new message. The default buffer size for the screen text area is 32 KB. To change the buffer size, in the I/O traffic viewer window, click Buffer Size. Enter a value and click OK. The buffer size is changed as you specified. Here's another tip. You can copy and paste text from the message window using your browser's copy and paste functions. In example, Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. On the IED communication summary display, click Enable/Disable to resume, suspend communications between the MCP and a selected device for scheduled polling and control operations. Note, you must have operator or supervisor privileges to use the Enable-Disable communications function. On the IED communication summary page, click Enable/Disable to resume, suspend communications between the MCP and selected device for scheduled polling and control operations. The IED point summary page lists the configured devices in the system. You can display the recorded sequence of event, or SOE, and protective relay fault, PRF, events for a selected device. To view SOE/PRF events, click the SOE PRF button for a selected device on the IED point summary page. The SOE PRF list window opens showing the stored SOE and PRF event records for the selected device. To view point details, on the Point Details page, click the Details button for a selected connection DNP IED. The point details of the specific IED is displayed. Select a Point Type tab, for example Analog Input. All the configured points and point details are displayed. Use the page navigation buttons to select and scroll pages quickly. Click Close when you're done. Another tip: if more than 20 points exist for the selected type, the point display is broken up across multiple pages. Use the navigation button shown at the bottom of the window to move through the points list. Maintenance mode. A checkbox at the top of the point details window allows you to toggle maintenance mode on and off. This allows you to view actual point details on system points that are affected by system features like input point suppression and redundant I/O. Enabling maintenance mode adds the last reported value, last reported quality, and last reported time fields to the data grid. Quality details are provided for each configured point or object to inform the operator of the status of the data shown. The quality status and quality attribute are stored in the MCP database along with the point object and are updated as the status or value of the point or object changes. The current quality status and quality attribute are presented on the point details page. The foreground and background colors for point value and quality status, based on configured display settings, change to alert you of the current quality state. The current quality status is presented for each point and object and indicates the general nature of the data stored for the point. Quality status can be one of normal, the data is considered correct and there's no actions or exceptions marked on the point. Invalid, the data is not accurate or up to date due to the status of the device. Questionable, the data is likely to be inaccurate or out of date due to the status of the device. The digital output interface allows you to issue control requests on digital output points. To open the digital output interface, right-click a digital output data object on the online viewer or a digital output point on the point details page and select digital output interface. The result, the digital output interface displays the following information: line ID, device ID, point description, quality attributes, digital output state. The quality status of the point value and quality attribute are visually indicated according to configured color settings. To execute a control command or a digital output point, right-click a digital output data object on the one-line viewer or a digital output point on the point details page and select digital output interface. Verify the point status. Set up one control command as follows. Note, the control command is only applicable to the command interface window on the point details page. Select function code, one of direct operate with no ACK, select, operate, select before operate. Select control code, one of pulse on, pulse off, latch on, latch off, trip, or close. Enter a pulse on time, trip close, and pulse on off controls only. Enter a pulse off time, trip close, and pulse on off controls only. Click Execute to send the request. The result, a message confirms whether the command was successful. Note, if you do not complete an action within a predefined period of time, the operation is canceled and the window closes. Inputs to the digital output interface of the MCP, HMI, and one-line viewer, OLV, are utilized by the DNP DCA as described in the table. Lastly, I want to thank you for watching this training content video. And if you're looking for more great content, take a minute and check out the Resources Hub on the GE website. You can do that by typing resources.gegridsolutions.com into your browser, or just click the link in the description of this video and it'll take you right there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.